Thank you for joining us. Celebrating a new year brings hope and expectations for positive change and resolutions for a good future. We should all count our blessings and be grateful for all that so many people just take for granted, including real friendship. We hope for good things in peace, prosperity, health, and intelligent solutions in so many areas for all people and the environment as well, upon which all life on earth obviously does depend. Our show today celebrates the friendship of the United States of America and the State of Israel, and a closer look at some of the positive and inspiring realities. We'll begin with a greeting from Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu following these messages.
And then they showed me a world where I could be so dependable, intellectual, cynical.
Find magic again. Sprout by HP. With Intel RealSense technology inside, now you can bend the rules of creativity outside.
Life Extension Foundation was established in 1977 and has grown to become the world's largest consumer-based anti-aging organization. Life-saving achievements taken for granted today were pioneered by Life Extension Foundation decades ago. Life Extension is currently funding $10 million a year in research on significantly extending a healthy human lifespan. Diseases that once plagued humanity have largely been eradicated by scientific innovation. 3 leading causes of death in 1900 compared with how people die today. Smallpox killed millions before it was eliminated in 1979. Life Extension funds research to fight biological aging so that it also will become a relic of the past. Log on to lifeextensionfoundation.org.
President-elect Trump, my friend, congratulations on being elected President of the United States of America. You are a great friend of Israel. Over the years, you've expressed your support consistently, and I deeply appreciate it. I look forward to working with you to advance security, prosperity, and peace. Israel is grateful for the broad support it enjoys among the American people, and I'm confident that the two of us, working closely together, will bring the great alliance between our two countries to even greater heights. May God bless America. May God bless Israel. May God bless our enduring alliance.
For more than 30 years, the America-Israel Friendship League has been a proactive organization promoting close ties between the people of Israel and the United States, strengthening the historic ties between the United States and Israel through people-to-people contacts in exchange programs for Americans and Israelis of all ages, faiths, ethnic backgrounds, and political affiliation.
Its central purpose is to expand the relationship between the United States and Israel.
It's a meeting of democracies and the pioneering spirit, cooperation and understanding and sense of brotherhood. And that goes deep and long and very meaningful.
The AIFL does remarkable work in making sure that the context between the people of Israel and the people of America are rich and continuing and personal.
Until you get people on the ground, until you get Americans from all walks of life on the ground, interacting with Israelis and seeing the world in which they live, you can't fully appreciate what an amazing, dynamic, tenacious, striving people the Israelis are.
Members of the Writers and Bloggers Delegation were deeply taken by Israel's unique cultural spirit.
When I go back and talk to my staff and when I talk to other journalists who possibly don't cover Israel the way that CBN News covers Israel, I'm really going to stick up for this country. I'm going to stick up for the people, and I'm going to make sure they know that there's always two sides to every story.
This is a country that we all know is a very close friend and ally of the United States, but this is something that we need to remember and need to focus on now more than ever.
University presidents encountered leading members of the academic and high-tech communities who demonstrated through myriad examples the critical role of this startup nation.
All sorts of issues come right through Israel and right through this region, and in order for us to make informed decisions as educators, we need to come and see it firsthand and understand the nuances and complexities.
What determines relationship between nations is the people, the understanding that we share with others.
They're resilient, they are positive, and I feel strongly this time that Israel is just totally prepared.
The ability of the world to solve problems today is to do it in collaboration, particularly with people who fundamentally agree with you.
School superintendents and state education officials gained insight into innovative digital online teaching platforms designed specifically to meet the challenges of 21st century classrooms.
This gives them an opportunity to truly understand what Israel is about.
State attorney generals who have been visiting Israel since 1988 bring back important messages to their constituencies.
I think it's so important to have these people-to-people conversations and meetings on the ground in Israel. And when you meet them, you find that they're genuine, you find that they're like you.
They come here and they say, wow, I never realized this, I never understood this. And many of them go on to become governors and United States senators, and they become commitments of friendship for life after having visited and seen this great democracy and the shared values that Israel has with the United States.
The Citizenship Through Sports Exchange program offers student athletes valuable lessons.
It's one of the perfect ways of strengthening the connections and people to people.
The bonds between Israel and the United States are so important.
Changing the conversation about Israel day in and day out.
Thousands of high school students from the United States and Israel, Jewish and non-Jewish, have lived with families in each other's countries.
It's just so amazing how they can just bring so many students together from thousands of miles away and put them together in workshops and just help them to become better persons and just build bonds and hopefully really lifelong bonds and friendships.
The partnership between the American people and the Israeli people is important today for our common security, our common values, and the future of our children.
And that is where the role of the America-Israel Friendship League is today more important, more crucial, and more significant than ever.
Gather here at the entrance to Jerusalem with members of the families, and we remember those whose lives were lost in New York City, in Washington, D.C., and in my home state of Pennsylvania. On behalf of my country, I thank the State of Israel, the City of Jerusalem, and the Jewish National Fund, which initiated this unique and eloquent memorial. It will become a natural part of the landscape for all those entering the city. This memorial contains a metal beam from the World Trade Center. This memorial, too, surrounded by forests, provides a point for contemplation not only of tragedy and loss, but of the hope for a secure future and our shared desire for peace. So let us not forget the victims of some 92 countries, and let us remain committed to defeating terror around the world.
With us now is Sharona Whisler, Executive Director of the Zionist Organization of America for Florida. A real pleasure to finally get you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Last time we met, it was in Miami, and we were in the company of Rudy Giuliani.
Yes, it was good to meet you.
Absolutely, thank you so much. And here we are in interesting times, and The purpose of our show, as I mentioned, is we are celebrating the friendship of the United States and the State of Israel. I'd like your thoughts with regard to how you see the importance of this relationship.
Israel and the United States are allies, and Israel is the United States' most important and crucial ally in the Middle East for lots of reasons, but most importantly because of our values. We have the same democratic values, and Israel is really a human rights beacon in the Middle East, surrounded by huge other violators of human rights. And Israel and the United States have a lot of partnerships and work together side by side on a lot of initiatives because a lot of our goals also align.
What comes to mind if I were to ask you of highlights in the relationship between the United States and Israel historically?
The highlights of the relationship between the United States and Israel would go to the creation of the Jewish state of Israel in 1948, and the United States was a big support of that, to see it through and to see it in fruition, and support Israel throughout many of the defensive wars that Israel was faced with when they were attacked after becoming a state.
Sharona, whereas Israel has been known to export oranges and fruit to Europe and elsewhere, things have changed, and now Israel's economy is based far more on high tech, and a lot of this is in cooperation with the United States of America. What comes to mind?
The biggest partnership between the United States and Israel is in their missile defense. So Israel helps the United States in their missile defense program because Israel is the experts in that, and the United States has helped with funding the Iron Dome, which is a missile defense program that shoots down rockets in the air before they reach their target.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of that in the unfortunate prior conflicts. Let's hope they'll never be used again.
Amen.
How do you see the current challenges facing Israel in general?
There are a lot of challenges facing Israel. We just saw with the recent disappointment, for lack of a better word, which is probably an understatement, what happened at the UN with the UN Security Resolution 2334, when the United States didn't veto the resolution that has a lot of stated lies about Israel and the Jewish connection to Israel's holiest places and the holiest places to Jews. That's one of the challenges that we're going to be facing, and trying to backtrack on that and not let that become a precedent that is set against the Jewish connection to the land of Israel.
Certainly a very grave issue of concern to many. And Alan Dershowitz recently said on this show that one cannot turn that back and undo this very questionable UN resolution. What are your thoughts?
I think it's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take a lot of work in Congress, and there are some resolutions right now that are being passed. We need more than resolutions. We need legislation that actually has legs to it, that will actually recommit and re-establish the strong support that the United States has for greater Israel, and especially the communities in Judea and Samaria.
How do you see the future of relations between the United States and Israel?
I'm very hopeful for the future of the relationship between Israel and the United States. There are a lot of good things that are happening and that have the potential to be happening and that we're talking about. One that I'll point out and highlight is the move of the United States Embassy to Jerusalem, which I would really like to see happen, and ZOA would like to see happen, and that's a lot of the work that we're doing. And that would be a huge victory. That would be a miracle after so long of having the U.S. Embassy in Tel Aviv, which we know is not the capital of Israel.
Certainly, the location of an embassy should not serve as a pretext for any interest groups in the world, whether in the Arab world or Europe, should not serve as a pretext or be seen as a provocation, because, as you said, Jerusalem is the capital of Israel and not be of a concern. And all we can do is hope for a peaceful future for all and for people to work out their differences in a civilized process through negotiation and not through threats or conflict.
I agree. The Jerusalem is not the new capital of Israel. Jerusalem is the eternal capital of Israel. Jerusalem is the biblical capital of Israel, and Jerusalem has never been the capital of any other people throughout history other than the Jewish people. So it's not a new concept that Israel is suddenly introducing and that we want to see happen. It's something that should have happened a long time ago.
Sharona, before we conclude, tell our audience a little bit about ZOA.
The Zionist Organization of America is the oldest pro-Israel organization in the country. ZOA was founded along with the first World Zionist Congress in 1897. So we are celebrating in 2017 today, we're celebrating 120 years. So that's 120 years of Zionist activism and commitment to the Jewish people. And we want to see another 120 years for the future and beyond for the future prosperity of Israel and Zionism and the Jewish people. ZOA's work is focused on Israel advocacy through education. And we're committed to this through our various departments on Capitol Hill, through our Government Relations Department, and through our Center for Law and Justice, which takes on cases involving anti-Semitism and anti-Israel propaganda, and through our tremendous campus department. And we do a lot of work here in Florida as well. We just launched a ZOA high school fellowship. So we're starting even before students get to college so they know what they're going to be faced with. Because unfortunately, as it happens, they're faced with a lot of anti-Zionism when they get to college campuses.
Well, I hope the work that ZOA is doing to address the unconscionable events that occur on campuses, I hope the work you're doing will make a difference, and others as well. Sharona, give us a final message for our audience.
I see the future of the Israel and the United States relationship very positively. I have a lot of hope for it. And going forward in Israel in general, Israel is not going to just survive the challenges that Israel faces. We're going to overcome, and we're going to be even stronger as a nation. And a lot of that is attributed to the United States and the alliance that we have with the United States.
And all other friends of Israel, of course. Thank you so very much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'll be right back. Speaking of making the desert bloom, who'd ever think a 2,000-year-old seed found in an archaeological site could be brought back to life in Israel and produce fruit?
The original date palm hasn't been seen here for maybe 1,000 years.
We would like to revive the Judean date and see if it lives up to expectations and legends.
The date palm tree was known throughout the ancient world, the Judean date palm, as one of the tastiest, largest dates in the world. But it was also famous because it had very strong medicinal properties. It was used against infections, for depression, as a general tonic to make you feel better, and it was highly sought after. There's a lot of archaeology in Israel. You know, Masada was excavated extensively by Yigal Yadin. And when he was excavating, he found thousands and thousands of ancient date seeds. And with those seeds, we went down to Kibbutz Keturah and we said to Elaine, put them in the soil, water them, and see if anything comes up.
And it took me some time to figure out how I might do it, because you only have one chance with each seed. And I began to work at how I might be able to revive fragile specimens. After rehydrating some of the seeds, I began to think of how I might encourage them to grow if they were alive. When I first saw that something was actually coming up, I could not take my eyes off of it.
Date palms are either male or female, and Methuselah is a gentleman, and he produces pollen, so he won't produce fruit. So what Elaine did is she asked somebody who had a wild female growing on their farm, right up in the Arava, and he took some of the pollen and he put it on the wild female, and a few weeks, months later, it produced some dates. We would like to try and germinate more seeds and make sure they really are ancient seeds, and perhaps even one day have a whole plantation of ancient trees, male and female ancient trees, and reintroduce the ancient date back into agriculture.
From 2,000-year-old seeds to present-day technology from Israel.
When you hear the word Israel, what goes through your mind? Probably this image, or this, definitely this. So here are 68 facts you probably didn't know about Israel. Israel is a young country. How young? Just 68 years old. In nation years, that's like 3 years old, a mere baby. Israel's population is just 1.6% of the entire population in the Middle East and takes up only 1/10% of the region's area, which means it's tiny. Basically, you can cross the entire country in less than 5 hours from snow-covered Mount Hermon to the sizzling beaches of Eilat. Israel is third in the world in the consumption of sweets and vegetables. Israel was the first country in the world to ban commercials starring underweight models. Israel has the highest number of academics per capita in the world and the highest proportion of startups and of museums as well. Tel Aviv is home to 80,000 dogs that enjoy more than 60 dog parks. And the biggest dog cemetery dating back to ancient times was discovered in Israel in Ashkelon. Speaking of ancient places, Jerusalem, one of the oldest cities in the world, is also the smartest one, as it was the first in the world to be completely covered by Wi-Fi, which you'll need to find one of the best hostels in the world, the Abraham Hostel in Jerusalem. Another ancient city is Beersheba, 4,000 years old. Nowadays, it has the most chess masters per capita in the world. With all due respect to chess, the most popular beach sport in Israel, and probably its national sport, is matcot. There's no score, just the fun of ruining the quiet of the seashore. Books. Israel is number 2 in the world in book publishing. People of the book, remember? Wait, who's number 1? At least we're in first place when it comes to translating literary masterpieces from foreign languages. The USB stick is an Israeli invention which saves us lots of storage space. Israel is among the 10 leading countries in life expectancy. Folks here live on average to the ripe old age of 83. Israel has 273 kilometers of beaches, hugging the Mediterranean Sea, the Red Sea, the Dead Sea, and the Sea of Galilee, the lowest sweetwater lake in the world. According to the New Testament, Jesus walked on the water here. This rescue board is called a hasakeh. It was invented here in the 1930s by a Jewish lifeguard. If you have a problem staying above water, the Dead Sea is the place for you. The salt concentration there is so high, anyone can stay afloat. Israel is one of only 8 countries that have sent a satellite into space. The busiest bird migration route in the world goes through Israel. 1 billion birds pass through here every year. According to Travelers Digest, Tel Aviv is in the top 10 for cities with the world's most beautiful women. And yes, also among the top 10 when it comes to good-looking men. But women in Israel have much more to offer than just a pretty face. Israeli women also have more academic degrees than the men do. So if you are the next Mary Curie, this is the place for you. Not for nothing is Israel known as the startup nation. There are more than 3,000 high-tech companies and startups in Israel. That's the highest concentration in the world outside of Silicon Valley. So what was invented here? The technology that allows us to chat in WhatsApp, Messenger, and everything else you youngsters spend your time on. The world's first antivirus software, gesture-controlled and hands-free computers. Technology to prevent traffic accidents. Taxi service app. Remember when you had to wave your hand for a taxi? A social network that allows you to steer clear of traffic jams. A really small pill that can photograph your body from the inside. How does it get out? Solar energy water heater. Irrigation system that conserves water. Painless hair removal. Well, almost painless. Anti-jellyfish sting gel. Laser keyboard. The technology that enabled unmanned flight. Cherry tomatoes and Rummy Cup, the popular board game. Whew. Crembo, chocolate-coated marshmallow treat. It may originally have been a Danish confection, but in the winter, Israelis eat more than 50 million Crembos. Bamba, a peanut-flavored snack created in Israel. On top of being popular and delicious, research has shown that it helps children build immunity to peanut allergy. And to continue with the yummy stuff, even though Italy is the birthplace of ice cream, consumption in Israel is 10 liters a year. Respect and brain freeze. Ice cream is all about the quality of the milk. Israeli cows are world champions in milk production. Since she's a champion, she's got an attitude. Tel Aviv is known as one of the vegan capitals of the world. Or how about some sushi? Tel Aviv is only second to Tokyo in sushi bars per square meter. Wine has been made here for more than 3,000 years. And even then, the local wine industry didn't win as many international awards as it does today. And speaking of prestigious awards, none is more prestigious than the Nobel, right? 9 Israelis have won the Nobel Prize in Sciences. The last one was Professor Dan Shechtman for the discovery of the quasi-periodic crystal. See if you can say 5 times really fast quasi-periodic crystal. Israel also grows flowers, lots of flowers. For last Valentine's Day, Israel shipped more than 60 million flowers to Europe. Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East. Israel is not a monarchy, but does have a queen. Her name is Dana International, and she's the first transgender to win the Eurovision contest. Time Out magazine has crowned Tel Aviv as gay capital of the Middle East. And speaking of divas, Lady Gaga's shoe designer is Israeli. They are indeed beautiful, but really difficult to walk in, especially if you're in Haifa and need to climb its green hills. For that, the shortest train line in the world was constructed to take you right to the top of Mount Carmel. And while we're in Haifa, did you know that it is the most multi-ethnic city in Israel? It has Jews, Christians, Muslims, both Sunnis and Shias, Druze and Baha'is. Did you know that Israel is the only place in the world where the number of trees increases year by year? Even with all these forests, 60% of Israel is desert, which didn't prevent us from turning the barren desert into productive farmland. A desert doesn't have much water, so Israel was forced to lead the world in desalination technologies. Israeli scientists developed treatments for multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, and most important, discovered the cause of halitosis. Yes, bad breath. Israelis are also not too shabby when it comes to sports. Maccabi Tel Aviv took the European Championship 6 times. In judo and windsurfing, Israel is an Olympic powerhouse. And if you're still not impressed, what would you say to the fact that the Emmy-winning series Homeland was written in Israel? Or that more than 1 million notes are stuffed into the Western Wall every year? Where does God find the time to read them all? And Hebrew is such an ancient language that if a modern-day Israeli would meet his ancestor from 2,000 years ago, they would be able to carry on a conversation. One more left? Well, all right. Have you heard of the Global Happiness Index? Neither had I until now. But apparently Israelis are in the 11th spot out of 196 countries. And if that doesn't satisfy you, maybe you should find someone to talk to about it.
Life Extension Foundation was established in 1977 and has grown to become the world's largest consumer-based anti-aging organization. Life-saving achievements taken for granted today were pioneered by Life Extension Foundation decades ago. Life Extension is currently funding $10 million a year in research on significantly extending a healthy human lifespan. Diseases that once plagued humanity have largely been eradicated by scientific innovation. 3 leading causes of death in 1900 compared with how people die today. Smallpox killed millions before it was eliminated in 1979. Life Extension funds research to fight biological aging so that it also will become a relic of the past. Log on to lifeextensionfoundation.org.
This concludes our special show for today. Thank you for being with us.